What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and most toxic black man on the internet, and I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. And fighting out of the red corner, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, we have Dana, domestic violence White. Yes, folks, yes. Here we have Dana White beating up his wife. So, for those who don't know, who didn't see the news report, and I don't fault you if you haven't seen it or haven't heard of this, but the face and the head promoter of the UFC and one of the ambassadors of the sport of MMA on New Year's Eve was in a domestic violence dispute with his wife out in public. This wasn't at home. This wasn't, on their property somewhere. They were out at a bar in Mexico, and his wife smacked him upside his bald head, and then Dana rolled in with the skibbity paps. He gave her a couple of smacks in the face, and it got caught on camera, surprisingly. I know that's not what they wanted, and had it not gotten caught on camera, we'd have never heard of it. Because even with it caught on camera and it being put out there on social media, people are doing their damnedest to avoid this story. So if you haven't even heard of this or haven't seen it, I can't blame you because they're doing their best to bury this story. And even when they report on it, it's not reported in the same way that you've heard other domestic violence situations reported. Okay? When Ray Rice, the football player, had that incident with his wife where he punched her in the face on the elevator and knocked her out, the media went berserk on that man. And here's the thing. The incident that happened with Ray Rice, him and his wife were arguing. She chased him down the hall. She had hit him upside the head a few times. And when they got in the elevator, I guess he had just had enough. And he hit her back. And at first, there was no video footage, but Ray Rice confessed to it. He went to the NFL. He told them what happened. And the whole issue had been straightened out. The video came out months later, and they crucified this man just because the video came out. Oops, sorry about that. But yeah, they knew about the whole incident. All right? It wasn't like it was something that he was keeping secret or it was a secret from everybody. He confessed to it. And he let everyone know. He went through all types of the legal issues and issues with the NFL. But as soon as that video came out, the media and then the NFL turned on him, and him and his wife were just left out there to defend themselves against this nonsense because they had a serious, terrible incident of domestic violence, which I do not advocate, by the way. If you cannot, before I even get into the rest of the video, if you can't handle any type of situation with your significant other, or that's how you guys deal with each other, or you feel that the only way you can deal with each other is by putting your hands on each other, you don't need to be together. Okay? That's a terrible way to deal with things, and it can go left to where someone can lose their lives over domestic violence. So I do not advocate that at all. I don't even think it's good to be just yelling back and forth with your significant other. I understand people have arguments, but you need to be careful how you talk to your significant other. And you definitely don't want to be putting your hands on them. But, in the situation with Dana White, his wife hit him in the head and then he hit her back a couple of times. And now the media is literally bending over backwards to not have to indict this man and his character because, he's a white man, first of all. He's the face of a multi-million-dollar company. So they're doing their best to not make him a bad guy. Okay? So when a black person gets caught in a situation like this, not only is he indicted, but the character of the entire black community is up for grabs. Everyone wants to question the integrity of the black community. All black men are bad when one black man does something like this, right? But when you got Dana, bald-headed, devil white, now all of a sudden we look at him as an individual, and not only that, but he's an individual that made one bad choice. They're even trying to paint this as, oh, this is the first time he's ever put his hands on his wife. No, sir. No, sir. I'm not going to let you guys get away with that one. You can watch that video and tell that they have put their hands on each other before. Okay? That's not the first time they've just swung on each other. Okay? Because in any type of violent situation between two people who are supposedly supposed to be in love or a domestic situation, the first time someone gets hit, there's a look of shock, or there's a look of how could you do this, or surprise, or whatever. You don't just immediately respond and start hooking off on somebody. They have done this before. Okay? That's not the first time it's happened. I don't care what his wife says. She's trying to cover for him because she's been with him forever. She doesn't want to leave this dude, apparently. Okay, I don't know what type of hooks he has in her or what he has on her personally, but he's cheated on her and done all types of stuff to her, and she hasn't left him yet. So she must either really be in love with him, be a woman who's messed up in the head and just abused, because we all know anytime a black man is accused of something, people jump on their wives hard, right? They fall around Camille Cosby and tried their best to say, why don't you leave Bill? You need to leave Bill. But Dana White cheats on his wife with younger girls, and he goes out there and he smacks his wife up and beats her up. And his wife, no one's going after his wife. In fact, they're trying to be very sensitive towards her and saying this is a sensitive time for their family. We want to look out for their family. No one gives a damn about your family when you're black. When a black man does something, they'll go looking and searching through everyone's family to see what's going on, to see who wants to throw you under the bus first. You see what I'm saying? But you notice a difference with both like TMZ and ESPN, how people are even talking about this incident, because I mean they have to talk about it, because you can't be the public face of a $1 million industry like this and it completely get brushed under the table. But you know the way they're talking about it, everyone's all somber and quiet. Like let's listen to Stephen A. Coon here, because you know he was going to come out and defend Dana White the same way he defended Jerry Jones. Let's listen to Stephen A. Coon here.
Dana White is not just somebody that's connected in the world of sports. He's a friend. I love.
Yeah, see, this Negro says this about every white man that gets in trouble. He's my friend. He's my buddy. Yeah, these white men are always your friend, but they don't have you over their house, Stephen. You notice that a lot of times these white men don't really pal around with Stephen. You never hear them say Stephen A. Smith is my friend. But this Negro always, anytime he wants to defend these fools, they're his friend. And he has personal knowledge of them, and they would never do something like this otherwise. So he has to come out there and defend them. He even says he loves Dana White, like a good bootlicking Negro would. I guess he he feels a little bit better than Dana because he still has some hair on that forehead of his. I don't know what's going on with Stephen A's hairline, but he was bucking his eyes and his hairline was going back even further, trying to protect Dana White. Let's listen some more. I'll start from the beginning.
In the world of sports, he's a friend. I love the guy personally. So this is a very hard subject for me. We talk all the time.
Yeah,
we
right.
certainly connected briefly since this happened. Mm-hmm. He knew there's no way on earth that I wasn't going to talk about it.
He told you, boy, get out there and defend me. I know that's what you do. I know that's what your whole purpose is on ESPN. Get out there and defend me, boy.
Goes out to his family because this is a very, very embarrassing situation. He says it has never, ever happened before.
It's not embarrassing. It's domestic violence. When has domestic violence ever been described as embarrassing?
He's completely ashamed and utterly disgusted with himself that he finds himself in this situation, that he would ever have done such a thing to a woman he's been married to for 30 years, who's the mother of his 3 children. And he makes no excuses for it. And I think it's important to point that out.
No, he's got you, Negro, to make the excuses for him, and this whoever this chick is. I don't watch ESPN, so I know who Stephen A. Smith is. I don't know who the trollop is sitting next to him, the little frumpty dumpty white girl that they got next to him. So you'll have to fill me in on that one. But she comes out real hard to defend Dana White. Let's listen to this. This was amazing when I heard this the first time. I was like, really? They're gonna go with that, huh? They're really gonna go with this. Let me cue it up and here. Listen to what she has to say.
To a fighter, but maybe a little stiffer.
Sure.
Because he's the head. I just want to say a couple of things. They talked about being drinking heavily.
Yeah.
When you're under the influence, not shining moments, often people don't make their best decisions. So in that sense, it's a cautionary tale.
Yep.
Wow. So now alcohol is an excuse now. Alcohol is an excuse. Now Ray Rice and his wife were drunk, but they didn't let that stop them from criticizing him. Remember, when it's a black man, there's no excuse for what you do. You can be drunk, high, have mental issues, whatever. There's no excuse for you. But now all of a sudden, oh, they were drunk. They were drunk. They didn't look that drunk. Those slaps were pretty accurate for being drunk, in my opinion. Let's listen some more to what she has to say.
In terms of it being an isolated incident, I've known Dana since I was 22. I have
Yes.
the utmost respect for him.
Yes.
And I don't judge people by their worst moment. I agree with you on that.
Wow. Now we don't judge people by their worst moment. Ray Rice, Chris Brown, just the accusations given against Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby, we judge them by that. We judge black men by things that haven't even been proven, just the accusation. But, Chris Brown has been judged by that one incident he had with Rihanna forever. He recently just got taken off of a performance recently on, what was it, the Grammys or something like that? They wouldn't let him perform just because of that whole incident. People were booing him after 20 some odd years. Really? But now we don't judge people by that one moment, apparently. Just a bunch of nonsense, man. These people are such hypocrites. It's disgusting. But there's someone who really knows Dana White, who knows the real Dana White, and that's his mama. And very recently, well, not recently, based on this incident, people have been trying to look up, has anyone ever said anything about domestic violence and Dana White before? Because apparently no one wants to speak up now. None of the ring girls that work in the UFC, none of the fighters. Everyone's real quiet now when Dana gets in trouble for this. But, that people were looking through archive footage and found 5 years ago, Dana White's mother wrote a book, and she was talking about some of the domestic violence between him and his wife. Now, once again, if you've seen the footage of them fighting, you can tell that wasn't the first time they put their hands on each other. But according to Dana White's mother, even as far back as their honeymoon, she was giving him black eyes and he was smacking her upside the head. Okay? On their honeymoon. She talks about she saw the worst black eye she's ever seen on Dana because his wife hit him in the eye because they were fighting in the hotel room. And apparently because he likes to go screw these ring girls, him and his wife always have arguments and fights about that because he doesn't even try to be faithful to his wife, apparently. But I guess that's okay for him. That's the image. It's easy for him to have that image and not get in trouble for it, or people just ignore it and don't bring it up. I'm surprised any of these girls haven't come up and talked about being sexually assaulted by Dana yet. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but right now, everyone seems to know, it's like an open secret at the UFC, that Dana White is going to sleep with whoever he wants to sleep with. Apparently, he even slept with his brother's wife. He banged his sister-in-law. It's like, what kind of narcissistic freak are you to do something like that? Right? But his mom reveals it all. And I'll post a link in the description box for you folks to go check out what his mom had to say about him. His mom did several interviews because she wrote a book just basically detailing what a scumbag Dana White is. One of the scummiest things I heard was the fact that he said his grandmother was getting sick and dying, and he told his grandma, "Yeah, grandma, I'm going to come get you. I'm going to give you the best medical care ever." And she went and told all her friends, and was so happy that her grandson was going to come help her. He never showed up. He never contacted her ever again. Didn't even send her any gifts or flowers or whatever to her funeral. She passed away, and he had no contact with her. So that's what type of scummy person he is. He would lie to an old woman like that. That's horrible that you would do that. Okay? I mean, if you weren't going to help your grandma, you don't have to soup her head up and tell her that. You know what I'm saying? Just don't help her. He actually told her that, told he was going to come help her, and she was so excited and happy about that, and he never came. That's horrible to do to somebody, especially towards the end of their life. But that's what type of scumbag Dana White is. And everyone's pretending that they don't know that. I could tell just by the way he talks to his fighters and how he talks during meetings and whatnot that he's a scumbag. Okay? I'm surprised none of these fighters had the balls yet to knock his ass out. But, you know, there's plenty of stories out there of scummy dealings in the UFC and how they treat their fighters. Those fighters don't make enough money based on what they're going through. With the injuries they suffer and the abuse they put on their bodies and whatnot, people wonder why some of these champions are fighting so often. It's because they need to make money to, feed their families and also pay for their trainers and whatnot and their gyms and all the stuff that they have to do. They have to keep paying for all that because they don't get paid enough. And Dana keeps all that damn money. The UFC keeps all that money. They just put these human beings out there to cockfight in front of people. And the UFC, the Fertittas, and everyone else who's invested in it, those are the people making all the real money, not the fighters. So, I mean, you folks can let me know what you think about it in the comments section. I'd very much like to hear your opinions and how you guys feel about this hypocrisy of everyone trying to run out there and protect Dana White. Once again, I'll post a link to the interview with his mother so you folks can watch it for yourselves and understand what kind of a jerk Dana White is to just everybody. I mean, if you're that much of a jerk and a scumbag to your mama and your grandmama, you know he treats ordinary, regular people like trash. If you smack your wife up in public, that means you treat everyone else like complete trash. Okay? You can't even honor your mother, your grandmother, and your wife. What type do you even have honor at that point? So you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on these devils' back.